You think a mosquito bite is nothing. Tiny bug, tiny poke, tiny bump, wrong. Because the worst part usually starts after the bite, not during it. A mosquito can feed so subtly that you may barely notice it at first. First, only female mosquitoes bite humans. They need blood protein to develop eggs. So this thing is not checking you out, it's using you. And no, a mosquito does not use one simple needle. It uses multiple specialized mouth parts. Some help cut into the skin. Another part probes for blood. And while it feeds, it injects saliva full of biologically active proteins. That's what makes it so annoying. The opening move is stealth. During the first moments, you may feel almost nothing. The mosquito leaves, and the real problem begins after it's already gone. Here's the part that really sucks. That itchy red bump is mostly your immune system reacting to mosquito saliva. Those leftover saliva proteins trigger mast cells. Mast cells release histamine, and now your body starts manufacturing the classic mosquito bite misery. Histamine widens local blood vessels. It makes them leak fluid into the tissue. That leaked fluid creates the raised bump. The extra blood flow creates the red halo. And histamine also hits itch-sensitive nerve fibers. That is why you suddenly want to scratch that exact spot so badly. So when you look at a mosquito bite and see a red, puffy bump, you're basically looking at your body saying, something foreign got in here. Flood the area. React now. In a normal, uncomplicated case, the symptoms are local. Severe itching is the most typical complaint. Then come the bump, the redness, the firmness, and a little warmth in the area. So most of the time, a mosquito bite is not some medical disaster. It's a concentrated little patch of inflammation that is disproportionately good at ruining your mood. And that's what makes mosquito bites such an amazing form of low-level suffering. They don't usually do dramatic damage. They just create one tiny point on your body that keeps demanding attention. It's small, but it's impossible to ignore. And if you've ever had a bite feel worse at night, that's not your imagination. This report points to circadian effects. At night, cortisol drops and skin temperature can rise. That may make bites feel more itchy and more noticeable. So the exact same bite that felt tolerable during the day can suddenly feel way more maddening when you're trying to sleep. That's why a single bite can somehow feel 10 times more offensive at 2 a.m. And if a mosquito is buzzing near your ear while you're trying to sleep, that is pure psychological warfare. Now comes the trap. You scratch it. And yes, for a moment, that really does feel better, because pain and friction can temporarily override the itch. But then you damage the skin, you create more local trauma, and that helps trigger even more inflammatory signaling, which can keep the itch going. So the thing you do for relief also helps keep the whole cycle alive. That is one of the most evil things about mosquito bites. The relief and the worsening come from the exact same action. In most normal cases, the bite forms quickly. The itching often peaks within the first 24 hours. Then, over about 3 to 7 days, the bump flattens, the redness fades, and the skin settles down, unless you keep messing with it. Now, not everyone reacts the same way. Some people get blisters. Some get a much bigger hypersensitivity reaction called Skeeter Syndrome. That can mean massive swelling, heat, and pain. Sometimes even an entire limb or eyelid can swell dramatically. It looks scary, but it's important not to confuse a very swollen local reaction with immediate full-body collapse. There's also a very stupid way a normal bite can become a bigger issue. You turn it into an infection yourself. If you keep scratching and break the skin barrier, bacteria can get in. That can lead to cellulitis, a real bacterial skin infection. And the signs there are different from a normal bite: spreading redness, increasing pain, red streaks, drainage or pus, fever, chills. That is no longer just an itchy bump. Then there are the rarer, serious scenarios. A true systemic allergic reaction can involve generalized hives, swelling of the lips or airway, wheezing, or collapse. That's an emergency. And separately, the reason mosquitoes are so infamous globally is not because the physical bite itself is massively damaging. It's because mosquitoes can act as vectors for dangerous pathogens. The deadliness comes from what they may carry, not from the tiny wound itself. In many non-endemic regions, the overwhelming majority of mosquito bites are nuisance events, not life-threatening events. So the honest answer is this: most mosquito bites are not dangerous, but they are impressively good at causing misery out of proportion to their size. A mosquito lands, cuts into your skin, feeds so subtly you may barely notice, leaves behind saliva proteins, and then your own immune system turns that tiny event into itching, swelling, redness, irritation, and an urge to scratch that can drag on for days. That's why getting bitten by a mosquito sucks so much. Not because the bite is huge, not because you're losing dangerous amounts of blood, and usually not because you're in immediate danger. It sucks because a tiny, stealthy insect can trigger your body into manufacturing hours or days of itching, swelling, and self-inflicted aggravation from one microscopic attack. And that may be the most insulting part of all. The mosquito barely touches you, and then your own body does the rest.